Welcome back, everybody. This is Khara Croswaite Brindle. Welcome back to Perfectioneur Pointers. I have another amazing expert with us today in the burnout prevention world. This is Denise, a burnout prevention coach. Denise is here to share some tips and tricks around burnout prevention, which is very relevant now more than ever. Denise, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I do burnout prevention. And what I do is I help clients go from burnout to creating more of a balanced lifestyle. Because burnout is burnout. And you have to change your habits, your lifestyle, and take better care of yourself. And how I'm different is that I've created a team of professionals because I've realized that there's different aspects of our lives that need to be approached when we are dealing with burnout. And things like nutrition, when we're on the rush or on the go, we don't tend to eat healthy. And
yes.
Also when we're in burnout and we are living in stress for so long, we do some damage to our bodies, and stress is very damaging to our bodies. So what I'm going to go through today a little bit is creating an action plan for yourself. And one of the things with burnout is awareness. So I've got a little handout at the end here. So what I'd like people to do is when you are triggered or when your stress is triggered, write it down. Like, why does that, whether it's a commitment or a project or task in your life, why does it trigger that stress? Because a lot of times we do commit ourselves to projects or tasks that aren't in line with us, or don't go with our values, or don't go, with what we want in our world. And when you know yourself, like if you've got to do something that you really don't want to do, right away it adds a little bit of stress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So just becoming aware of what does trigger your stress. And I also work with people how to incorporate self-love. Now, some people think that self-care, self-love is taking a weekend away or a spa or what have you. But really, it's just taking care of yourself. And a lot of us, especially with entrepreneurs, we tend to push ourselves, And when you're working on a project and it's not done, we'll continue working on it. And the problem is that we start making mistakes and we start fatiguing ourselves. And really, our level of work is not there anymore. So you're just pushing, and you're really getting less done. And people are starting to realize that, which is great. So self-love doesn't have to be a huge thing. What I recommend my clients to do is a morning ritual. So instead of going to your computer first thing in the morning and looking at emails, because emails can trigger. Someone is asking you something or someone's complaining about something, right away you're starting your day off on a negative. And so if you start a morning ritual, it doesn't have to be huge, whether it's listening to your favorite song, meditation, setting your day, doing something inspiring for yourself. That's basically, it doesn't have to be, 2-hour thing. I mean, I do mine in about 15 minutes. And the days I don't do it, my day doesn't go as nicely. It doesn't go as flowy. And things like meditation, prayer, sitting quietly, taking time with family and friends, doing things that you enjoy, exercising, yoga, going for a walk, reading a book, music, dancing. And a lot of times when you are working on a project and you are starting to get fatigued, switch it up. If I'm working on a project that seems to be exhausting me, I'll take a break and do the dishes.
That's a good idea.
It doesn't have to be anything extreme. It's just switching it up and getting your body doing something different. So when you are working on something, what happens is that when you're working on a project, you get into that flow. And it's just like when you're creating a painting or something and you're focusing on this painting and time goes and you don't even realize where you are, what you're doing, because you're enjoying that. And a lot of times we do that, but we go over that line. And then there's a line where if you do it too long, then you start sliding into burnout because you're starting to tire yourself out. And it's recognizing those things. And it's so easy to take a break. You could take a 5-minute break. You don't have to go for a half an hour walk. You can
Right.
just go outside and sit down. I
Yeah.
know when I used to have a dog, it was, I had a big dog, so I had to walk her. And every day it was like, oh, I have to walk the dog. And it was crappy weather. And I would get dressed and I'd go out with the dog. And it was funny. Once I got out there, I didn't want to come back.
Because you're enjoying it. Yes.
Exactly. And a lot of times when we do take breaks, you just change. It's just a whole different feeling. And little things like gratitude exercises. If you're feeling upset or if things are not going your way, or, you have those days where things are just getting all flustered, just take that break and think of 10 things that you're grateful for. It gives you that warm, glowy feeling, and it just changes your whole perspective. And that's what taking breaks does. It changes your perspective.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely relating to all of this, Denise, because I feel like these driven entrepreneurs who are watching this video are like, oh, I can't afford that 30-minute break, but maybe a 5-minute break to do something different could work for them, whether it's the dishes or getting up and moving to a different part of the room. I love that. I think that's great.
Well, I find too now we're all online, and there's a lot of times where even, if you're in a challenge or if you're taking a course online, get up and move. Even if you stand there and you do some stretching or just get out of your chair and move. And I used to be a contractor. So when I used to take my breaks, then I would sit down and relax because I was up and down ladders and stuff like that. But it's just, I think the biggest thing is switching it up.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah. Switches the mind, switches the body, maybe even gives some permission for some creative ideas, right? Of like, oh, we're feeling stuck in something. Just can we switch it up enough to have a new idea? I can see that working.
Absolutely. And as I said, 5 minutes. And that's the problem I find with a lot of women that are in business. Their first reaction is they don't have the time.
Right.
And I have a lot of women that come to me that are in severe burnout, but they don't have the time. And I'm going to say this, and I hate saying this, but it's so true, that if you don't start listening to your body, you're going to end up getting sick.
Right.
And then you're going to be a burden on whoever's around you. Because I know when I was in burnout, I was in bed. And I was not in bed for a couple of days. I had pneumonia. I had stomach issues. I was sick and I could not function.
Wow.
So therefore, I was done. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do any household chores. And that's what happens when you're starting to go into burnout. That exhaustion and fatigue, it's your body telling you this has got to stop.
Right. Almost like what's the warning sign before we get to that level where we can't get out of bed or function in our day-to-day stuff. I think that's a big fear for at least me as I'm listening to in your story of like, oh, I don't want to get to that level. And yet so many of us have been right there at the warning signs, like, oh, I can hear it, I can sense it, but I'm ignoring it.
And that's the scary part, because a lot of people do. And then you end up, you're bringing your immune system down. So like even with this COVID right now, and even this I don't know, I'm in Canada and we've got the change of season happening. So we've got, just regular colds and flus coming around. Mm-hmm. And if you let your body drain that much, you're putting yourself out there.
Right. A lot more risk. So I appreciate what you're talking about of like having this action plan, right? Like people are crafting some of these things maybe ahead of time so that while they have the thought process available, they can be like, what could I do? Can I take that 5-minute break? What could that look like?
Yeah. And also like for myself, I have a little work board up here and I just list what my morning ritual is. And right now I've got gratitude. I do dance. I do some tapping, breathing exercises, and meditation. Beautiful. So really that takes me maybe 15 minutes. And
that's impressive. Yes.
It doesn't take long. And that's the thing. People think, oh, and there are days where I start my day off wrong and then things just don't go right. And you know what I've learned to do when I've done that is just to restart my day. Because I have gotten up and I've started going into emails, and next thing you know, I'm dealing with problems. The next thing you know, I'm dealing with stress.
Right.
And I will deal with the stress and then I will walk away, and, whether I go take a shower, lie down or whatever, I will basically reboot my day.
Ah, restart. Absolutely. Like, oh, it started off on the wrong foot. Let's do it again.
Yeah. And it's amazing how, because if I would have stayed down that path, the stress, it would have compounded.
Right.
And, it's not a nice way to live.
No. And just hearing that that's possible to reset, I think would be so reassuring to our viewers of like, if the day starts off on the wrong foot, like you were saying earlier, oh, I go to my computer and I'm like, I feel like so many of us are like looking at our phone in bed. Like it's not even
Yeah.
a sacred space of privacy and boundaries. And so when you said that, I was like, all right, let's reset that. Let's not look at our phone before we go take a shower, have coffee or whatever we do first in the morning. Like it's just not the right way to start it off. I completely agree.
Well, and just the news and the negativity that's out there, and it's out there. Like whether you go onto Facebook or whether you go into your emails, it's just that ding, ding, ding with the negativity.
Yeah.
Which is fine when you're in the right state of mind.
Sure.
But getting yourself set up for that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Is there any final tips for the action plan that we're starting to craft together here on our video?
Yeah, what I would like to see people do is schedule in their breaks.
Yes. I had to learn how to do that. I'll admit it. I have a planner sitting here right next to me that has things crossed out so I don't schedule the wrong thing into it.
And it sounds silly, but I mean, even if you take, a couple times a week, take a half an hour before your week even starts and say, I'm putting that time aside because I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to do a yoga class online, or get yourself involved in something like that.
Right.
And put it in your planner and treat it like an appointment, a scheduled appointment with someone where you are committed.
Right. They don't cancel it.
Pardon?
But you don't cancel it because if something else comes up, right? Keep it sacred. Mm-hmm.
And, if you have a friend or someone else, to hook up with someone where there's that accountability factor, where I know for myself, when I used to go to the gym, I used to do it with a friend, and there's a lot of times where I would not have gone. But I knew she was waiting on me or wanting to meet me there. You've got that accountability factor for you. So
Yes.
You go. And it was funny because there's a lot of times where I'd get to the gym and she goes, oh, I felt like canceling. And it's like, yeah, so did I.
But luckily, one of you said, let's do this. And I'm sure you felt better after, hopefully.
Once you're there and doing it, it's a whole different ballgame. It's just getting yourself to do it, to start,
Right. Getting that first step in. Absolutely. Well, I love this. And I can't wait to have everyone download the action plan that's going to be included with the video today so they can really take these next steps and hold themselves accountable. This is wonderful.
Yeah, it's very simple. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Right. And I think that's the biggest assumption, right? That's probably a misperception, is that it has to be like this big rigorous plan and self-care. And I think you and I can both agree it doesn't have to. Just small little changes make a difference.
And getting into that habit, you create more balance. You're a happier person. You have time for the things that give you joy.
Right.
It's just a whole different, whole different lifestyle.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, I know that some of the people who watch this, they're going to want to know how to work with you and your team of wellness professionals. Can you speak to where they can find you?
Yes, my website is www.balance, the little hyphen me.ca. Okay. And I do have a discovery call on there, an assessment call, where you can spend some time with me and see if it would be a fit.
Oh, great.
And I do have the different healthcare providers. So what we do is personalize a plan for each person and see what works for them. Because some people, don't like yoga or don't like doing meditation. And we've got other things, there's tapping, there's hypnotherapy. So there's all different programs, techniques, and things that we can put together for you, a personalized plan.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful, like being able to say what's going to work for this person in particular. I think that's a really great way to go about it. Absolutely.
Well, and things like hypnotherapy, because you're dealing with the subconscious. Some people haven't never tried it before. And then when they do try it, they love it. Same with EFT. I mean, that's built on more of the acupuncture, right?
Right.
So it gives women the opportunity to try different things.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, I'll be sure to include your website below the video here so people have easy access. And of course, we'll have your handout of that action plan as well. I just really want to thank you, Denise, for being here, because I think everything we've talked about today really resonates with me, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with our viewers.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really
Absolutely.
enjoyed meeting you.
Yes, and now we have Canada represented in the subscription. I love that. So
Great.
goals on my end. So thank you again, Denise. Viewers, stay tuned and please reach out to Denise if you have questions about her program and her coaching. We'll see you next time.